Okay, so before we start domain, I really am going to number these note sheets because sometimes it really is nice to be able to tell you what page to look at. So I'm going to start on this coordinate plane, and that's going to be 1. Shocker. So the back of it would be 2. You can use whatever you want, pencil, pen, it's up to you. I have a piece of plastic stuck to mine. Okay. So then the note sheet that we reviewed how to name and plot the points would be 2, and the page that I graded for you would be 3. So on. I think it goes to 10, we'll see. Thank you guys for doing this. I appreciate that. Oh, it's definitely more than 10. I got 18. Anybody else? Okay. So today we are doing page 4 together. Give you about 30 seconds and then we'll start on the top part where the bubble is. About 15. $10. Okay, so page 4, we're going to split these into 2 different types of functions. So the word function, what that means is we can usually make a graph out of a function. So most of the time when you guys see the word function, I want you to also kind of in your mind think about something that can be graphed. The domain of a function, so that little bubble at the very top, the domain of a function is the set of all possible x values. So when I talk about it being able to be graphed, what the domain tells us is where on the x we would have part of that graph. So if we look at a graph, we should be able to look at like x is 5, and there would be a point on the grid somewhere at x is 5. The first type of domains that we are going to talk about are discrete domains. So these first 3 are called discrete domains. Now, you're never going to be tested on that vocab word. I would at least write it in for your reference if you might ever need it again. But these 3 are discrete. And the discrete ones are personally my favorite because you can actually list out all of the possible x values. So it is a amount of x values that can actually be counted and written. So the first example that they give us is this table. And the left-hand column of the table is straightforward. It says that it's the x value, but the right hand says f of x. So hopefully some of you guys are remembering that f of x is just the fancy way of writing y. So f of x and y are the same thing. F of x and y are the same thing. So when you see this table, what this table is telling you is that if we wanted to graph this, we would put a point at 0, 23. So we would stay at the 0 and then we would go up 23 units. Or like the next one tells us that we would have a point at 254. So we would walk over to the 2 and then we would climb all the way up to the 54. So if we're looking at this, if we know that this is an x coordinate and a y coordinate, and I would like you to tell me what all the x values can be, well, these ones are the easiest ones because all we have to do is list those numbers in the x column. So this table is telling us that x can be 0, 2, 5, 8, and 11. Now, when we write this out, we have to put them in a fancy bracket. So let me show you or remind you what a fancy bracket looks like. So it's like this little curvy do where you go like this. So you can either go for the little fancy guy or you do like a little parenthesis, a triangle, and then another little parenthesis. See what I'm saying? That's the kind of bracket we got to put it in. So when we write down those 5 numbers, we're going to write fancy bracket. So I'm just going to do it the easier way with a curve, triangle, curve. And then I'm going to list out those numbers. 0, 2, 5, 8, 11. Super easy on the tables. Not only because it's obvious what the x values can be, but also because it's already numbered least to greatest for us, and we have to number them least to greatest. Next one is a graph. So first we have a table, now we're going to look at a graph. This domain has 5 numbers in it. How do I know that? Because there are 5 points on this graph. So all I have to do to find the domain is figure out what the x value is at each of these points. So I'm going to just start on the left-hand side and I'm going to move right. So I'm going to write my fancy bracket. Then this guy is on the x-axis at -2. So it looks like we moved to -2 and then stayed. We did not go up or down. This next one is at -1. This one is at 0. So we started at the origin and did not move left or right. We just moved up. This one, x is 1. So we went over 1 and then up 2. And then the last one, x is on the x-axis again, and it is 2. Feeling okay about that one? Maybe a little? A little bit? Yes, just a little bit. Okay, your last kind of discrete domain. So we're looking at a table. We've looked at a graph. Notice that each time we can actually list out all the values. So here we had 5, here we had 5. So now we're going to look at points. So these are ordered pairs. And the only thing that we need to remember on this guy is that when we have an ordered pair, the first number is always the x coordinate and the second number is the y coordinate. So if we're in charge of writing out all the numbers that x can be, I'm just going to pull the first number in each ordered pair because I know that number is the x number. Now, when I do this, I have to be careful that I get them in least to greatest order because this is the only one so far where it's not already put the smallest number to the biggest number. So I'm just going to look at these 4 numbers real quick, and I can see that -5 is the smallest. So that's what I'm going to write down first, -5. Then it would be 0. 3, 5. So 3 discrete domains. You know how to look at a table now, you know how to look at a graph, and you know how to look at a set of ordered pairs. So let's practice a few on our green whiteboard. So let's just practice this a couple of times. The purpose of this is to give you a shot at doing it before you actually gotta do it on your quiz. Okay, let's start with, how about a graph? So you guys list the domain for this graph. You do your fancy bracket, then you're gonna list all of the x values. Okay, about 10. Five. 3. 2. Okay, show me what you're thinking. Hold it up for a sec just so that I can see what everybody's doing. Okay, -4, -2, 1, and 3. Great work, guys. Okay, let's try this set of coordinates. So what is the domain of these or this function? So roughly 10. About 5. 3. 2. Okay, show me what you guys are thinking. Good job. So almost everybody has the right numbers, but remember, it's got to be ordered. So this one, it should be 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, one more, and then we'll move on to the other kind of domain. So this time we're going to do a table. It's horizontal this time instead of vertical, but it works exactly the same. Okay, about 10. 5. 3. 2. Okay, show me. -4, 2, 7, and 10. So that is our reminder or review of what a discrete domain looks like.